An hour inland from the Costa del Sol is the city of Ronda. It's a beautiful place with much to recommend it. The Moors visited here, the Romans visited here. We think you should too.
Well, let's be honest here. The Romans and the Moors invaded rather than visited. Actually, when the Romans came, they were in a slightly different location.
We said the Romans had been to Ronda, and here in Asenipo, just north of Ronda, is the proof.
Yes, when the Romans invaded, they invaded in style. While the rest of Northern Europe was still living a pretty basic lifestyle, the Romans were going to the theatre. The Romans knew how to make buildings that would last. Despite several earthquakes and much stealing of stones for other buildings, the theatre at Asenipo is still in good condition. Roman life in Asenipo must have been pretty great. There was a bathhouse, the theatre, a forum, and the area was extremely important in the Roman Empire for its wine growing, so I imagine a lot of testing went on. But much more about Ronda's wines in another program. The Roman Empire declined, of course, and so did Asenipo. Ronda relocated and regained its importance a few hundred years later when a Moorish general named Tariq ibn Ziyad visited from North Africa and conquered much of southern Spain, creating the Moorish-ruled territory known as Al-Andalus.
And this is when things got really interesting. There are many signs of their presence here. Amongst the most impressive are these Arab baths.
The flow of technology from Europe to Africa might be mostly one way these days, but back in the 8th century, the North African world had plenty to teach Europe, especially about hygiene.
The bullring at Ronda is emblematic of the city. It's the oldest bullring in Spain and is definitely worth a visit while you're here. But there's much more to see.
If you've read a guidebook or two, you've probably heard about Ronda's famous bridge and its bullring. Both are important landmarks, but do take in a few more. How about the Giant's House? Or even
St. Sebastian's Minaret.
And for a very classy place for Ronda's civil servants to work, how about the Town Hall
and the Moorish King's Palace, which has most of the original Moorish bits hidden away from the public eye.
Buildings in Spain are generally much better preserved than in Northern Europe. They didn't have the Second World War, of course, so there is a lot of beautiful architecture to be found everywhere.
All across Andalusia you can see Moorish buildings that have been adapted by Christian architects. And here in Ronda, the Palace of Mondragon is another example.
Actually, the Palace of Mondragon is also the Museum of Ronda. Here you can really get your teeth into the history of the region, as it covers very early times through the Roman period, the Moorish period, and up until much more recently.
Besides all of the churches, monuments and palaces, Ronda also has masses of little museums, like this one, the Bandits Museum.
The owner and curator of the museum, Jesus Almazan, gave us a quick tour. In the 19th century, Spain was riven with social strife, basically the rich people keeping the poor people down, and the bandits of the time were Robin Hood-like characters, stealing from the rich, occasionally giving to the poor, but mainly living a wild and free lifestyle that appealed to those who were suffering under the rich landowners. It's a romantic part of Spain's history, and it's well worth a visit. And do please note the wrought iron balconies, the lampposts, and all the other ironwork all around Ronda. This is something of a speciality of Ronda. Getting to Ronda is pretty easy. It's well signposted, and from the Costa del Sol you can follow a road inland from somewhere between San Pedro and Marbella if you've hired a car. And if you ask in reception, there will almost certainly be bus tours.